reminded us. Nina Simone said it's the artist's duty.
And I just gotta take a moment, because everything she said, I soaked in. It was like, whoa. Thank you, sister. That was an incredible story. So I got to go spread that one too.
That's right. And we know you got the bandwidth to do it.
Man.
And so Nina Simone said this, right? She said it's an artist's duty to reflect the times that we live in. That was Nina Simone. It's an artist's duty, right? Not a hope, not a prayer, a duty to reflect the times in which we live in. And we know Chuck D and Public Enemy has been putting it down. It's been sort of the backbone, right? Giving us anthems, right? For movements, right? Over the last few decades, right? Not trying to age you or anything over there. Not trying to age us. I want to hear though, Chuck, just sort of connecting those stories together with what Ms. Isidore was talking about. What was your early influences, right? When you were thinking about resistance movements and resistance music, because you didn't have to go that route. And just so the audience knows, we're an oral, like our learning and our teaching, we're an oral people. And that's why this format is the way it is. So we can tell stories, generational stories, and pass them through. But Chuck, what was it, right? What were those music? What were the music? Who were the artists that really said, yo, this is the direction I need to go?
Well, I'll be simple and clear and fast. First of all, it's a pleasure being here. It's almost like a throwback to my lifetime. I was born and raised in New York. And the feeling that happened here right throughout the night since the beginning is something that I had seen since inception. The spirit in the building was the spirit I grew up in. So when everybody caught Public Enemy, understand that was just 25 years later from my birth. You know, we did our first records. I was already 26 years old. I was born in 1960. When I think about FELA, automatically I always knew 1938 was the same year my father was born. When he passed away in 1997, and you know, we was kind of like in the same circle with Femi. And so that was 1997. He died the day after my 37th birthday. So it was always, you know, FELA is always in the air. When I was 10, 11 years old in the African American experience, a summer camp that we on Long Island went to on college campuses where our counselors were from the Panthers, they were from the Nation, they were just straight out considered radicals, and they had 2 summers to teach us. So as we were going in there at 10, 11 years old, we were going back in the school systems challenging teachers. They cut the program in 1972, but we got 2 years in 70 and 71. FELA comes, his music, we replayed as youngsters drumming, because we understood the power of the drum, especially getting on the one. It's like, when you find out about drums here in the Americas, you have one drummer. And one drummer tries to, and the light is great too. One drummer is playing a bunch of different tools on the drums, trying to emulate a community that would play all the parts. Yeah. So when you hear drummer here, it's like, yeah, one drummer. But in Africa, it's the whole community. And FELA, when he came with Africa, 1970, around that time, he brought the whole kit and caboodle over. I mean, and threw out more drums in the audience if he could. So we knew this at 10 and 12 and 13 years old. So when it came to the late 70s and the early 80s, you have a bunch of influences at that time. James Brown goes to Africa for the first time. He goes to Zaire, and then the influence, of course, with his music and records, because James Brown, the godfather of soul, funk, is tearing Black America up. And also, when Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud came out in '68, you got music all over the world. You understand that it might be a recording contract, but your recording contract, whether you move with it or not, is a passport to the world and the universe. So whether you get up and move, that passport is moving even to get, it's going through borderlines, which are all fake and false anyway. And so it's crossing borders, it's getting across the people, it's infiltrating minds, bodies, and souls. And so you got James Brown, you got FELA Kuti, you got George Clinton, who brought the whole kit caboodle, influenced by the massive, you know, movement that FELA was doing. Who else you got? You got bands coming up. You got the band movement coming up in the 70s, the funk bands. Everybody said, look, we're gonna play together. The whole damn community gonna play. How's everybody gonna get paid? We don't know. But we're gonna hit it on the one, you know. The woman's voice, yeah, like you said, Nina Simone, you know, to Shaka Khan in the 70s and the 60s, which was the aftermath of the 60s, which is also, and this is turned, and then although everybody got a computer on their hips, what is turned into the vanished decade that we all got to be aware of is the 1950s. Because the 1950s was the confrontation and then figuring out the chess move. Like, I could strangle you in the 50s, but pay a heavy price. But my kids is going to come with a different set that you're going to consider radical and radicalism, whether it's regular life or whether it's just the music. So this was developed in the 50s, where in the 50s, if you was a black performer, whether you were on South Central or whether you were in Harlem or down, you know, at the Peacock in Atlanta, if you don't give what you got and give your all on the stage, you might get your throat cut. Leaving that venue, because $5 is tough to give up to somebody who ain't giving you all they got. So all these influences, we knew about FELA, you know, strong in the 70s and in the 80s. You got Bob Marley, and they clapping back on each other on influences, like, yeah. And all this is happening in the 80s, which sets another platform for FELA to do his thing. And I've been, and when I think of him, I think of not only the birth date in the date of passing and transition, but also my good friend, a road manager, a good buddy. We worked together, promoter. His name is Clifford White, who also passed away 2 years ago, the same year as my father. And Cliff was a road manager for FELA throughout in parts of the 90s. And Cliff got, I mean, I would sit and just listen to Cliff for an hour for his FELA stories. So I'm not gonna kick them to y'all, but that was like, you want to talk about, there's a universe of inspiration in that man's music and in his life. And it's still here and it's strong. Yeah, Africa. When you talk, I've been to Africa a few times, and it's great to understand that it's one thing to go and bring your music to somewhere, but the whole key in music and culture is cultural exchange. You gotta go there and make sure that wherever you go has a bridge to come wherever you are and exchange ideas. Because with the exchanging of ideas is also the exchanging of inspiration, hope, and fight. Now, of course, we here, and down the block is Migos playing 3 nights at Staples and Quavo. But the thing is, there is a bridge in there sometime, because Migos and Quavo might sit down with me for 20 minutes. It ain't about me, it's about we. It's about thinking that we being uppercase instead of lowercase. And this is the thing that we get from FELA Kuti from afar, from the third person, from a person that's backstorying. And no longer is there an excuse of saying, I don't know about somebody, when everybody got computers in their pockets. You could use them as a toy or a tool. And so, you know, you heard the old story about, yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink or her drink it. This is where the water is at, right? There's also cyanide in it. So this is the direction, and where it comes down to the musical history, this is why the music is so important, past, present, or future, is that our story is in there. You get history by default. If you remove the teaching of music and our wonderful people who have created and made it no matter where they're at the world, if you remove it, you also remove the history by default. So there's a reason why young people are going to school systems and coming out empty, because what are they getting? And it's a reason why they extracted the music out of the schools too. Let's take the music round out. Let's take the culture round out and just throw what we call facts at them. And the tragic is, before I turn the mic over, the tragedy is right here and now, knowing that this man made music to try to bring in as much community as possible. Cliff used to tell me, like, Yeah, man, I had to I had to fly 68 people, and then we missed the flight. So, and we got an airline looking at me like, yo, so I had to figure it out, you know. So the problem is when somebody knows more about you than you know of yourself, that's volunteer slavery. And the difference was, when I was 12 years old, I was cocky. Even when I went to a white high school, I said, I got the advantage. Number one, I'm brilliant, I'll bust your ass, but at the same time, I know everything about me as much as I'm learning, and I know everything about your culture. I know the Brady Bunch and all that stuff too. Look at that. But you know nothing about me. And that was always my cocky advantage. Different, 2019, right? How much do we know about our culture and our understanding of where our seeds are and everything? How much do we know about us? And how much does everybody else know more about us than we know of ourselves? That is reciprocated. And it's reciprocated right into slavery. And that's something that FELA fought hard against. Music, yes, the beats were whipping. The more people on that drum, you know, it's like, man, we can't stop a collective. And the collective is of the human spirit. Instead of begging to become part of the human race, it's like, yo, we human too. It's not one of the things that like, the music is so we could be more arrogant, we better and all that. No. It's like, look, we're not knocking on the door politely anymore. Treat us like we bleed the same. And that's what the music is about. And that's something I didn't step with no matter what. And it's not about I, it's about we. And that's what his music is all about, even beyond and going into 2020, the decade of so-called clear vision.
So Nana, perfect segue. Give it up, y'all.